Il Cannes Italian Festival vi presenta una raccolta di interviste sulle nostre radici italiane in Australia, con una raccolta di testimonianze da parte dei nostri anziani e le loro storie di immigrazione. Abbiamo deciso di registrare proprio qua, in questo posto, perché nella metà degli anni 50 è arrivata una delle prime barche che ha portato con sé tanti italiani emigrati e insieme ai miei colleghi Michael e Martina vi racconteremo le loro vicissitudini, storie che sembrano lontane ma che in realtà hanno sempre un punto di attualità. Buona visione!
Well, hello Rita, and yeah, it's good to be here and good to see you. Well, where does it all begin? I guess I'll talk about my grandparents and when they came to Australia. My father's parents came from a little place called Pisillo near Zafferana. That's in Sicily, in the province of Catania, and they came over in 1925. So they came over to make some money, have a better life. And they came to Babinda and then Innisfail, and they cut cane. And my mother's family, mother's father, he was born in Sicily in a place called Macchia in Jari, in that area there, province of Catania, grew up in the United States, and then he was an American serviceman as well. And after the First World War, went back to Sicily, met his wife, my grandmother, and an interesting story is he had all good intentions of moving back to the United States, and he was told he couldn't go back.
Oh, why not?
Because he wasn't an American citizen. They had green cards, but there was a lot of confusion, and he decided to. He had family in Babinda, so he thought, well, we'll go to Australia. So where they bought their tickets, and then he found out all he would have had to have done was quote his service number, and he could have gone back to the US. But he just said, you know what, Australia is where it's going to be. So he moved to Australia and moved to Babinda, and we had family in Babinda, and he cut cane, and then bought his land and cane farm.
So when they arrive in here, did they arrive directly in the far north Queensland or they arrived somewhere else in Australia?
So they all arrived in Sydney,
okay,
and then they caught the train up. So that's what they did.
To reach Babinda.
To reach Babinda.
And to cut.
So I always joke that my mother's father had two options. It was either go back to the US, to New York, and that's where a lot of our families either went to New York City or they went to Babinda. Big contrast, isn't there, between the two?
Yes, huge.
Yeah,
one city
yeah.
and one.
And the other thing too is that the husbands always came over a few years before. So both my grandfathers came over 2 and 3 years before they got their wives and their children over.
So they had the children in Italy and they brought the children in here, or they married in here and they have children in here?
So both my mother's and my father's side had 2 children in Sicily, and then when they came to Australia, they had their other children, and they had large families. Five children each. So that was
like old times.
Like old times. So my mother's father stayed in Babinda. Like I said, he bought land, cleared land, and he always used to love to tell the story that it was all swampland, most of it, and when he cleared, there were crocodiles. So this was real frontier country, so it was, clear the land, crocodiles, all these obstacles. And with my father's side, they decided that it was a little bit too warm up here for them, so they went to a place called Stanthorpe, which is west of Brisbane. And they had a vineyard and apples and grapes of course, but apricots and peaches and nectarines, and so they were farmers down there. So both sides of the families were farmers.
So they come here because they have nothing in Italy, is that right? So there's like the majority of Italians that they leave Italy, they left Italy those years they left because there was nothing in there.
Yeah,
was the
well,
same case, or
it
you
was.
know?
It was post World War One, and things were tough. And I've been back to Sicily many times, and I remember listening to a gentleman one day talk about his family over there in Sicily, and he said, I was asked this question, why did you leave? Look at how beautiful it is. And he said, it is beautiful, but we couldn't eat. There was nothing to eat.
Yes.
So that's, they wanted to prosper. They wanted to, get ahead,
Yeah, give a good future to
for their families.
Yes, absolutely, like the majority.
Exactly.
The majority.
Exactly.
And when they come here, so if you know, like your grandparents built the land, just one, clear it up, made a farm, and they stop in there, or they build something else.
So my mother's father, he was into property as well. Mm-hmm. So cane farm and houses and flats and that sort of thing. So they didn't sit still. The great thing about it, even with my father's parents, they saw an opportunity. If they could work hard, they could make a very good living. And the other thing too, being a farmer, they didn't have to, the English wasn't very good. So until their kids got old enough, my uncles and aunts got old enough to translate for them, they were able to still make a very good living on the land, and that's what they did.
Yes, because probably they didn't speak any English.
No, they came over with zero English.
And do you know if at the end of their life they be able to speak English or not at all?
My grandmother always said that, she said, I can't speak English, because they'd speak a little bit of Italian, a little bit of English, mix it all up. She said, they don't understand me here, and then when we go back to Italy, they don't understand us there either.
Oh no!
Because of the mix, because they start forgetting some of the words, and because they mixed English and Sicilian Sicilian together.
I heard many stories where people mix especially this generation where we're saying instead of sandwich, sandwicho, all this stuff.
Well, you know what? My parents were born in Australia, and I do that. So yeah, I say words like that there. And I wondered for a while, where did I get that from? But that's because of from my grandparents to my parents.
But your parents are able to speak Italian a little bit, or?
My father spoke Italian as well as Sicilian, and but he was born here, and so was my mother. They went to school here. Mother spoke Sicilian. They didn't speak they didn't speak a lot of Sicilian at home, and that's why I don't speak. Yeah.
Yes, but that's fine. And when you mix, you got in your blood.
You know what? At the end of the day, I'm Australian, but my heart's with Italy as well. Yes. I'm Italian as well.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's in your blood. They are your roots. Even if you make your living in here, your roots are Italian, and you can tell from your color as well.
For sure. Yeah, from the south.
Yeah, exactly. So do you know if they come here with the ship or with the plane? How long was the trip? Do you know all these small details?
They both came by ship, and the time, I might be wrong, but I think it was about 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Because the husbands came over first, so the wives came separately. The husbands didn't have a bad time. They played cards on the boat, and there was a lot of other Italian men there, and with the wives, when they finally came over with my grandmothers, they had children to look after, but they still were with other wives, and they saw it as a holiday.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
What happened on the boats too is that they had made lifelong friends as well. So because they've got that connection.
Exactly, same stories.
Yeah.
And how did they find out that here in Australia was work and fortune?
There are two ways. It was in the newspapers over there, and also by family members saying how good it was over here. So that so there was either here or America. And at times, that's why I've got a lot of family in the US, is because it was easier sometimes to go to America and sometimes to Australia. So, but, you know, Australia was a land of opportunity.
And well, now they arrive, they make a fortune in their land. They have how many kids?
Yeah, five children each.
5 children each.
Yep.
Okay, one is your family. So what bring you? Like, tell me like about a more recent story about your parents now, and after when you had.
So my father met my mother when he was at a wedding in Babinda. So
Babinda is the place. in
Babinda
your
is the
family.
key to everything. And anyway, they courted and got married, and then when they got married, they settled in Stanthorpe. So that's where I was born, and we grew up on the land down there. But there was always that pull to the north. And when I was 7, my parents decided that they'd like to come back to the north, and we came back to Babinda and then Innisfail.
So since you are 7 years old, you grew up in Babinda.
Yeah, Babinda for a short time, and then
Yep.
Innisfail, and then when I was 16 I moved to Cairns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've been in Cairns ever since. I love it.
Yes, Cairns is beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. You got everything you need.
You do. You
yeah,
do.
it's a little bit hot at times.
Oh well, you know, it's funny. It's funny. My wife is from Hobart, so when it comes to summertime, she says it's hot. My son's he was born here, and I grew up here, so we can be in the middle of summer with no fans on, and he and I. But my wife, you got to turn the fans on. You got to turn the air conditioner on.
I understand. I'm from north of Italy.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's the same here when the summer comes. Lucky, you know, like you have like maybe office jobs, so
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
stay in the AC. But
Yeah, for sure.
it's hard. It's hard. And your parents, what they did? Your parents, they keep the business that your grandparents built, or they move on and
No,
do something
they
else?
moved on. My mother was a housewife, and my father, he was in business for some time, and then he worked for a sugar milling company called CSR, Colonial Sugar Refiners, and he moved around North Queensland working for them. Yeah. So he did that right up until retirement.
And now you are here. Now it's your story as well.
And now my story.
Yes.
Well, like I said, I grew up in Innisfail,
Yes.
born in Stanthorpe, grew up in Innisfail, and I did an electrical apprenticeship in Innisfail and Cairns. And then once I finished that, I moved to Cairns permanently, and I've worked in a number of different jobs, industries, shipbuilding and sugar factories, sugar mills. And the last part of my electrical career, I worked in the mining industry, fly in, out of Cairns, a place called Kidston Gold Mine.
Oh, wow.
It was the first fly-in, fly-out mine in Australia.
Oh, wow.
And it was an amazing place to work. Yeah, so we'd fly out week on, week off, and you'd fly out of Cairns, and then you come back to Cairns and you have your break for a week, and I did that for 15 years.
15 years?
Yeah, 15 years.
Wow, long time.
A long time, but I enjoyed it.
Yes.
And, you know, I got to travel a lot as well. So I had a lot of holidays, which was good. So I went back to Italy and Sicily a few times, and through South America and the United States and Asia and Africa, and
Wow.
So I've had a chance to have a good look around.
How many weeks you had like per year?
For my holidays?
Yeah.
Well, we'd get 6 weeks a year, but if you saved them for 2 years, you could get 3 months off.
Oh, so you take the 3 months off
Takes
and travel the world.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Exactly.
So do you say you back in Sicily? Did you back in your grandparents' like hometown, or just you went there? How was it?
Yeah. It's I'll say spiritual, because it was lovely to walk the streets, and I've still got family there, which is great. You know, I'm still in contact with my family in Sicily, and so we on my father's side, that's the main contact. over there. So was able to stay with family and get to meet all my cousins, and which was beautiful. And then with my mum's side, they've no immediate family left. They all came here, or the US. So, but I was able to go and see their house and where they lived, and there's a story. Well, it's not such a story, but it's there's a religious story about our family, where there was one of my cousins, going back a few generations, where she bought a painting of Mary, and this painting started to cry, tears, and so that painting now is in a church built on the site of where their house was.
Oh wow!
So that was when I said spiritual. That's part of it. A big part of it, which is fantastic.
Wow! And did you back just once, or you back?
I've been back a few times, and I've taken my family back as well. My wife and my son. My wife's not Italian, but she probably should be. She just loves everything Italian.
Yeah.
Even me.
That's a good thing. That's beautiful. Yes, but that, I think this is very important when you go back where everything began. It's your root at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
And found out that you still have family, and they probably welcome you
This is an amazing story, and I was backpacking the first time I went to Sicily, and I was backpacking with a few mates, and I was in Jari, and there's a train station there, and so I was in Sicily, got off in Jari, and I thought, right, you know what? I need to find my cousins. Last minute thing, right? So I rang my uncle in Stanthorpe, who I knew had been in contact with them. And he said to me, leave it with me, I'll get you some phone numbers, call me back in half an hour, right? So I called him back and he gave me these numbers. So I rang. And it rang, and then one of my cousins picked up. And because I can't speak Italian, or my Sicilian's very, very broken, very poor. And she couldn't understand me, I couldn't understand her. I thought, right. And there weren't any mobile phones, it was a phone booth. So anyway, hung up, I thought, right, okay. So we went and did some other stuff, came back, made another phone call, same thing happened. And when I hung up, there was a young girl sitting on the footpath waiting to make a phone call. And I said to her, do you speak English? And she said, yes, I do. I said, would you mind talking to my cousins and telling them I'm here? So she did. And within 20 minutes, they turned up, picked us up, took us home, back to their place. And some of my other cousins spoke very good English. They grew up in England. So that's how it all started then. And I was talking to my cousin this morning.
That's
over there. Yeah. So that was in the 90s.
90s.
Yeah.
And the second times when you're back, in which years did you go back?
The third time. I'll talk about the third time.
Yes.
Was when I took my wife and my son there, and that was just beautiful. Because especially my wife had said to me, I want to go to Italy, I want to meet your family, I want to go to Italy, and I said, right, so we'll organise a trip. And we waited till my son was old enough to understand, and he just loved it. So we got to we just did Italian holidays. We're starting in Venice and worked our way down to Sicily. Stay with my cousin. We stayed in Taormina as well, and beautiful.
And how long did you stay there for?
We in Sicily or Italy?
In Italy.
Yeah, just over a month.
A month.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and your son, how old was he?
Yeah, he was 11.
11 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good age to go, so you can understand.
No, really good. And he's really, you know what, the beautiful thing is my son's really big on family as well. And so he's so thrilled to meet cousins and experience it and the stories.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the food must love it as well.
He loves everything Italian, but he doesn't like seafood.
Seafood. Wow.
Well, you know what, especially in Sicily, you eat the sea urchins, you know.
Yes, yeah.
What I've been able to do with Caden, that's my son, is I've been able to introduce him to all the American family as well. And the interesting thing is, you go into their houses over there, and you swear you're walking into a house in Italy or your house here. This is my family. They've still got all the religious stuff, and and they still talk about the same things as well. And so my boy, we went over to the US last year. So he was 16. So he got to meet all his cousins over there, and yeah.
And they can have a connection as well, because the languages was the same.
Well, like I said to my boy, I said, this connection has been, next year will be 100 years that we've been in Australia.
It's true.
And so I said, we've kept the connection going for 100 years, and it'd be nice to keep it going for 100 more,
Yes.
So he's, I'm in the process now of getting my Italian passport as well, so he'll get one.
Excellent.
So working on that. So, and I believe with my boy, he's a traveller. So there's a fair chance he'll end up back in Italy.
You always have to remember where you're coming from.
Exactly.
So that's the main things.
And I'm proud of where I've come from, and so is he, and my wife is as well. Just that, to add that culture and that sense of belonging. Just to add one little bit there for my boy is that my wife's relatives, you can trace her tree back to the first fleeters of Australia. Mm-hmm. So not only has he got that rich Italian culture, but he's got that connection to Australia in the First Fleet. So it's it's pretty
amazing.
Good. Pretty good.
That's amazing. So you still work in the mines or?
No. So 15 years in the mines is enough. It was probably way too long. So I decided that I wanted to do something different. So I was fortunate enough that I spent a few years exploring, travelling, and then working out what I wanted to do. And I started Beacon Lighting here nearly 21 years ago. So in Cairns, I found out about the model and the franchise. It's a franchise business, and I bought that to Cairns. So I've been operating Beacon Lighting for 21 years, which I love.
Years, yeah.
Which I love. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
there's a lot of years.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of lights, and it's great product, and I've got a really dynamic and amazing team, and most of my team have been with me nearly from day one. Well, when I was looking for a business, I thought I want something that works, something, because you want the longevity, and you want something of a bit of size as well, so that you can employ people, and so you can build a good team around you, and that's what I've been able to do with Beacon, which is fantastic.
Cool.
So, but I've got other businesses as interests as well. I dabble in real estate, so that's my other passion. And I'm on a number of non-for-profit boards as well. So I'm on the board of Casales and the Cairns Italian Festival.
That's good. And
which is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's that's great. And you know what? And if I can talk about the Cairns Italian Festival is in 3 short years, what the committee and the volunteers have been able to create has just been amazing.
Yes,
it's just been amazing. And I've been a sponsor, but I've come in this year onto the committee, and I stand on your shoulders, because of what you guys have created. Yeah. Cairns has got such a rich Italian culture, and when you have a look at the pioneers, and the Italians have been, like my grandparents have been here since 100 years. And before, there were Italians before in the 1800s as well, but en masse after the First World War, and they've helped build this place. you know.
Yes, they fought for us. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they fought for us and be able to be here today. Like, you know,
So it's great to not only celebrate Italian culture now, but also all those that came before us.
yes,
It's
absolutely.
just awesome.
So, do you have like any favorite food or any favorite place that you always, you know, like go there and say yes?
You know, I love Terramina. I think it's just amazing,
beautiful.
you know, and looking over Giardini Nexus, you know, in the bay there, just I've got photos on my phone in my favourites of our time there, especially with my family. But if I think about where I love, what I really liked, it's there. Yeah.
And food, do you have any special food
You know,
that you like?
you know what I love more than anything else is a crumb steak
Okay.
with the parsley, you know, cooked in the oil.
Yes, beautiful.
Just love it. Just love it.
Yes. So you told me already how much children, like how many children you have. So you are only one. What's the name of your son?
Caden.
Hayden. Oh, lovely. Yes. You didn't call him Luca or Simone.
No.
Wife didn't wanna.
No, my wife, she loved Caden, the name Caden, and we agreed on that.
Okay.
So yeah, so my boy is he's nearly 17. He's learning to drive. Very good driver. And he goes to St Augustine's College, and he loves that. He loves that. And so he's got one more year now. Year 11. He's in year 12 next year. Then he said he's going to Brisbane.
That's it.
Yeah, he
to
wants
study?
to study law. He wants to study law.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so
Yes.
but he works here
In Beacon, I
in
think.
Beacon. So when he was 13, he started working here
Oh, that's good.
on the weekends, and he's picked it up. He saw that he wanted to get into sales. So he's done very well. You know, not this year, but last year he was able to do a full week, you know, outside of school holidays, because normally at Christmas time we go places. And anyway, he's top salesman for the month, and I've got some pretty good people working for me. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
he really gets it. He really gets it. Yeah, well, it's good for confidence, you know. And,
Yes,
so he's
absolutely.
in the debating team, and he's doing. The great thing about Saints and a lot of the other schools too around here, they really nurture their kids if you want to learn. So he did it last year, and he's doing it again this year. They've got a mock court competition.
Okay.
So he's part of that, you know. So
Must be so proud.
oh yeah, very much so.
I can tell from
Yeah.
your eyes, yes. Is something that you miss about Italy, even if you stay just for that time, but it's like, oh, I wish I can stay there with my family, and I don't know, something that you miss or...
I miss the culture, and I've already said to my wife that we've got to go back and live there for 6 months at least. You know, so that's the plan.
So
you know.
do 6 months here in Australia, 6 months in Italy?
We'll start with the 6 months and see how we go. But I want to be immersed in it, and I just love the culture. You know, I feel like it's part of me. And you know, I said I don't speak Italian, but I speak a bit of Sicilian, and I've noticed that the times I've been over there that I've started to pick it up, you know, and the Italian as well. So that's the other thing too, to get in touch with not only the culture but the language.
Yes, it's very important.
What I plan to do is probably go further north.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll spend some time in Sicily, but most of the time I'll be further north.
For the, okay,
Yeah,
yes.
but then you got those connections to the rest of Europe.
Yes, yeah, no, it's not like here.
But it'll be like, okay, what's a good fit for us?
What are you so proud of in your achievement here in Australia, though?
I'm a big believer in giving back. So I'm really proud of what I've done within the community, and you know, some of the non-for-profit boards that I've been part of, and what we've been able to accomplish, and you know, and just the latest one now with Cairns Italian Festival, just to play a small part in that, I'm very proud of. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam.